Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Choir Directors Academy. I am your host, Angela Lane. It's good to see you out there today. Today's topic is about dealing with disruptive behavior in choir rehearsal, and I know that is a topic that so many people have asked me to talk about, and I can only share my experiences with each of you. So help me out just for a quick moment. Like and share the video. I'm going to do the same thing as soon as it comes up on my iPad, and then you can like and share so that we can get this information out. There are some people who are not on the choir director's page, so they may not know about the show. But if you share it, they will get a chance. They will get an opportunity they'll get an opportunity to see it. So help me out, share it to your page, and we will get started. Good to see you out there. Hi, Pam. It's good to see you all chiming in. We're going to give a few minutes for other people to come in because, as usual, once I get going, I don't stop. But like and share the video if you can so that other people can get this information out, and we're good to go. Like I said, and I'm just going to get started into it. It's sometimes I think about it, and in a sense, we all want that perfect choir rehearsal. You know, everybody's on time. They're prepared. They're, excited to come in the door. Just whatever you have in mind of your perfect choir rehearsal, that's what most people anticipate when you go in there. But as we know, when you're dealing with human beings, that is not the case. When you're dealing, human beings, I have learned over time, are some variables that it takes God and Jesus to help you deal with it. Because even God himself, I'm sure God himself sits there and looks like, okay, I thought I sent you to die for their sins, but what am I seeing? Okay. So, we all have that, but we know that it is not possible for it to be that way. Hello, everybody. I will do my shout outs in a couple of seconds. But there are some things that we do because we know people, when they look at the leader, whoever the choir director or the president or whoever, whatever the title may be, when they look at you, they don't look at you, I hate to say it, but they don't look at you as human. They expect you to be above everybody. You don't have a bad day. You don't hurt. You're not sick. Every day you come in, you should be on point and everything. And they tend to forget that. But as a leader, you have to be proactive. You have to anticipate. That's part of leadership, in that you anticipate. We tell them not to anticipate the command, but we have to anticipate things going wrong. You always have to be flexible and understand that issues and problems do arise, but you need to address them in the proper way. Even myself, as being over the choir, another thing I thought about is a lot of times we look at the bigger artists, and I hear a lot of young people, they try to go in the door acting just like Ricky Dillard, Donna Lawrence, Mark Hubbard, Pastor DeAndre Patterson, Donnie McClurkin, and people like that. But you have to understand, when you have a name, that name, you're going to draw a different crowd of people. Most of us who are working in our local churches, we don't have the pick, so to speak. We have to deal with whatever we're getting. So in that, not saying that they don't have issues, it's another form of what we deal with on a lower scale. It's another form. But they have problems too. It's just a different format. The problems that they encounter, we would be like, oh my God, that's nothing. But before they got to that point, they had to deal with what we're dealing with and what we have to grow in order to deal. Okay, Melissa, in order to deal with whatever is going on. Okay, it's a growing process for us as well as for them. But it's more on us, especially those of us who are in leadership. But one thing I want to get started, I don't have that many points. I only have maybe about 4 things that you need to consider. I've always told people, and I share with my cousins and a lot of different people, in order to defeat your opponent, it doesn't matter what arena you in order to defeat your opponent, you have to know what you're dealing with. And a lot of times we you know, we think that you have to remember that everybody is not like you. Like, basically, when I come to choir, I love singing. I love singing, and I do plan to sing in the convocation. I just got to get my Cossacks, my little surplus, not a Cossack, but my surplus. I haven't gotten them yet. Hopefully I'll be able to get them. But when I come to rehearsals, it doesn't matter who's in charge. If you're a name or not, I come in with the enthusiasm. I come in to sing. I come in to have a good time. I come with the right attitude. I'm on time. You know, you send a link to learn the songs. I've already listened to them. You know, I mean, I'm like that gung-ho choir member. And that's something that I had to learn, is that everybody is not like me. You know, I come in all jovial, and they come in like, you know, like, let's just get done with this or whatever. So you're dealing. We have to remember that the people what we're coming in with may not be receptive. You may have one person come in like you, and then everybody else is on a scale of 1 to 10. You literally have one of each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You really got one person of each one, and we need to know how to handle ourselves so that we won't act out of character, because they can act out of character. Everybody kind of like, oh, you know, but if you act out of character and you the leader, it's a whole, you would think that you blew up, you just like almost demolished something. And I had to learn that, you know, as a young directress, I made my mistakes. I didn't understand everything. So I did some stuff, and I constantly got yanked in the collar, like, come back here, you know. So I'm just giving out some tips. I only have 4. Thank you all for joining me. I know I started early, but thank you all for joining me. But I have, you know, it's getting close to convocation time, and everybody's trying to get you in their meeting, and it's just, you know, whatever. There's no excuse, but this is why I'm super early for those of you on Facebook, which everybody's trying to get me to get rid of you, but I can. I love my Facebook because you all help me to get the confidence to do what I'm doing in other arenas. So I got to hang on to my Facebook group. But anyway, number 1, you know, I'm basically talking to church choir directors, but it can be applicable to any other area that you're working in the field of music. Number 1, you need to pray. I always pray before I go. It doesn't matter. I don't care how good my day was. You have to pray before you enter there. But one thing you must do, always remain calm. Compartmentalize. You have to, whatever was going on in the day, you need to put it in a rack, put it in a box, and sit it over there and deal with it when everything is over with. Don't bring all of that with you and try to teach a song. You can't teach it. Even myself. And I have I can usually, if I go to rehearsal and it may not be going the way that I wanted to, I can switch a song up in a minute and throw something together and be like, okay, we're doing this on Sunday. We're done. I mean, I'm good. You know, God has blessed me to be able to just throw things together and let's go. But even in that, if I bring all of what's going on through the day, and I allow that to come in, and then I see attitudes on somebody's face or whatever, that kind of disturbs you. So you have to learn to remain calm at all times. It's not an easy thing. I'm not going to say that it is, but it's not easy to remain calm. You must do that. Somebody tagged Melissa Green for me. I forgot. I'm not able to do that. Sorry. No, you must remain calm. Remember in Proverbs, Proverbs 15:1 said, a soft answer turns away wrath. Whenever you have, because you got people that's going to challenge you. They're going to speak out. They're going to say little smart comments and stuff like that. I'm not, and let me throw this disclaimer in there. I'm not telling you to be a doormat. I'm not telling you to let people run over you. I'm not, because I'm a firm believer in respect. Period. It doesn't matter what your age is. I respect the 18, 19-year-olds just like I respect the 20s, 30s, 40s, 80s, and 90s. I respect everybody, and I expect to be respected. And I carry myself in a way to be respected. Okay? But you always going to have to deal with, it's going to always be somebody that's just disruptive, to just just do things. And you have to remain in that place. You almost have to have like a military type mindset when you go in there. Be nice and do what you do, but have that type of mindset in the sense that you don't react to everything. In the military, they train you not to react to everything. And it's hard, but you really do have to get your mindset. And I'm thankful for the ROTC training that I did have. and you know, being around officers and they talk to you and you learn how to remain calm. You might be angry, but you remain calm. And you don't, the worst thing you can do when somebody is stepping out is for you to get with them and start yelling and fussing and screaming back, and because that just escalates things and you're not getting anywhere. And you upset the spirit of everybody else. Okay, but as a leader, when you're there and you're calm, and they can tell you, you know, you're there, but you yet maintain yourself. And like I said, it's not an easy process. It's something that is you as time goes on, you learn how to do that. Never get with them and be disruptive. Never, ever do that. Do your very, very best. I did it several times as a young directress, and it just set the whole choir off. You know, it just did. And even today when I have flashbacks about it, I just really I'm like, why did I do that? Why didn't I see that coming? And I, after doing it so many times, and I began to pray, and then the Lord began to let me see. When I walk into the rehearsal, I was able to see people, and automatically I know, you know what? Because some people, I used to have people, just to give you an example, I would have people, I would come in and I would be jovial, and I would have people that would purposely sing the song wrong. Now, in my choir, when I started, I took them over at 19. I trained each of them to sing their own part, to sing your voice, whatever it is, soprano, alto, tenor, whatever. And I trained you how to sing your voice, but I also taught you how to hear your part on a song. So my rehearsals had gotten to a point where all I had to do was just go, da 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 da, give you the pitch. I play the song. I will play the song before the service start. The rehearsal start, not the service, but the rehearsal start. And then I was just like, run through your part. And they all catch it and run. So we would do 5 or 6 songs. I know what you're capable of doing. I know because I taught you. But then I would have people that would purposely sing the song wrong. Purposely sing out of tune to upset me. Or to do something, I don't know, maybe I did something great or wonderful that day. I don't know what, or, whatever. I don't know. But they would purposely do that. And then I had to learn how to just walk in and just look at their faces and just know who's going to be the one. And 10 times out of 10, that was the one that was going to be it. And sometimes God would take me, and that's why I always say, follow the Spirit when you're in rehearsal. Because then the Lord got to the point where he would have me break out in a prayer or break out in a something, where it would convict that person and they wouldn't get started. Sometimes it would convict them before they even get started. Or if they got started, I would just start, break out with some other song, or I would change the song if I see that you're constantly doing that. And what I would do was stop the song and go to another song. Well, then the other choir members are sitting there like, why are we... You gonna stop on them? And then, they look at the person like, why are you doing that? And then the person would have to fall in line. So, it's different ways of handling it. That was just a couple of scenarios that I had. But the basic thing I want you all to remember is to remain calm. Do not get with them. That's the worst thing that you can do as a leader, is when somebody is disruptive, you get with them. I'm not saying, whatever, but I'm just saying don't get with them in that way. There's a way to deal with them. And in order to deal with things, you have to know your opponent. You have to know their ways. You have to know their areas of how they come and how they operate. The enemy has a lot of tricks, and everybody doesn't come. Remember that everybody does not come with their mind geared. They don't come with their mind geared for rehearsal. They come with their attitudes, with their whatever. And you sitting there like, really? We only got 45 minutes or an hour or whatever. Well, my rehearsals are no more than 45 minutes. That's too long for me. But, you wonder about that, but you have to think in terms of that and know that people do that. Prayer is key. Exactly. Hatcher said, that's my personal challenge, dealing with purposely disruptive people. I haven't mastered it yet. And you know what? It takes time. And even though with me, Hatcher, even sometimes it still gets to me. And I sit there and I'm like, you know what? Hold on. Praise God. Hallelujah. Sometimes it escalates on different levels. For instance, when I was in our convocation, I have never had this to happen to me before. And just to give you an example, once I got past my choir, and then I got over another choir. And in the convocation, one of the officers literally walked up in front of me at the convocation and tried to take over the choir from me. I mean, literally had them to stand up, follow me. And I'm standing there like, oh, I'm standing there, all these officials, everybody's in their dress garb and, what. And I'm standing there and the camera's right on me. And I'm standing there like, oh, no. And that, before I knew it, I had said no, and then I said, okay. So it had almost slipped out on me because the person standing there, follow me, choir, follow me. I'm standing there going, this is not happening. So I had to stand there, and the video is out there. You can see me standing there, just as I'm beaming, but I'm standing there. I'm like, okay. I'm steady talking to the person, very calm, and everybody's like, you can see the choir's face getting like intense, and I'm just standing there like, oh, okay, And, finally the leader told the person to go away because they just was not going to move. And guess what? I'm not going to move either, But, I mean, it was a challenge for me at that point, and of course, I was filming, But then the choir, we sang and the service went, God came in and took it another way. And blessed the house and everything. But I'm saying in that point, it was hard for me to maintain myself. And that's what I'm saying. I had to catch myself because before I was just like, I had to catch myself. So it's, Hatcher, it is, it is a hard, it's a difficult thing, but as you grow, you'll get used to it and you begin to discern things, you pray, you begin to see some signs and some things. And, it's like traveling down a road and people tell you about the landmarks. And after, when your first time you do it, you missing everything. You just like, oh my God. But after a while, when you travel like on Highway 55 going to St. Louis, now I don't even think about it. I know the landmarks. Okay, whatever. Let's just move on and let's do what we got to do. Because Sean says, the Lord is still working on me, sis. The Holy Ghost keeps me in check. The Bronx won't come out of me. No, we don't want the Bronx coming out. Okay? But just make sure. I'm going to do some shout outs in a few minutes. But, and Christopher says, that would have been a Matty Moss. Yeah, exactly. And it could have been. But after it was over with, and that's what, and I don't do that for praise. I thank God for keeping me because that was on video. And can you imagine what would have happened if I had reacted in a way that was less than pleasing in front of everybody on camera? That would have been the next meme or something, going out, but God kept me from doing that so that I would not bring disgrace. And sometimes we have to think in terms of that, not worrying about people so much, but you don't want to bring a disgrace on God, okay? Because, if he puts you, he helps you to get up into a role. He wants you to act in a way that is appropriate, okay? Number 2, try to discern the reason why they doing what they do. I am not excusing anybody's behavior. I never do. I just think it's totally uncalled for. But sometimes some people may be acting out things. And I had to learn that too. I had somebody just constantly doing that, but what I found out is that is something going on the inside, and they're bottling it, and they're festering, and sometimes they whoosh, and you sitting up there going, "What? I ain't say nothing." I was like, I didn't say it. All I said was sing this part. You hold on, wait. Sometimes I have to laugh stuff off like, what was this? Okay. You have to just, sometimes you have to figure out, is it a personal issue? Because honestly, when somebody has a volcano moment, you can kind of tell when it's directed at you versus it's something else going on. Wait, I just said something, and we take a lot as leaders, but seriously, you still can't get with them and start acting up. Sometimes I stand back and I kind of look at them like, are you all right? something going on? Should we talk on the side? I mean, I don't know. Help me out. I don't know. I'm not Jehovah, so I don't know. And, sometimes you have to pull them off. And sometimes I had people have a meltdown. You tell them to, and they just go into tears, just like so, I mean, it may be other issues going on. They may be upset with something, maybe something going on in the house, something on the job. I mean, it's just all kinds of things. So that's another reason why we don't want to just react and jump on somebody, because we don't know. I'm not excusing that behavior, but we don't know what may be happening, what may have gone on. And when they had a meltdown, I had to kind of like, okay, let's take this over somewhere else. In one case, I went with the person and, had the choir rehearsal go on, and then, whatever. And then, then one time the president took them off to the side, and while I continued on with rehearsal. So, I mean, it's a lot of different things, and you kind of want, and that's why I'm stressing being calm, but it's so many different things. We don't know everything that a person is going through, just because they look happy and smiling. It's like the comedians, just because they smiling and got you laughing, usually they are the people that are really hurting on the inside. So you can't just look at them and say, oh, they're okay, blah, 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 blah. Not necessarily. So if you try to be compassionate, I know it's hard sometimes, but you just have to be compassionate, because you don't know. And you don't want somebody snapping. You sitting there like, oh my God, you don't want that happening. You know understand? It's just tidbits, I don't know, and that's true, Lisa. We do open with prayer, but even when you pray, that still doesn't release somebody on the inside. They still bottled up. And it's just, they sitting there going like, one more thing and I'm out. So we have to stand back and kind of look like, whoa, what's going on? And if it's something that maybe and sometime in rehearsal, we turn into a prayer meeting. You have to get the oil. Go get the oil behind the pulpit. Lay hands on him, President. Sometimes I had to lay hands on him. Like, what? I mean, it's just a lot of different things. And we have to be careful as leaders, because we don't want to discourage somebody. Because sometimes choir rehearsal, for some people, choir rehearsal is their getaway. And whenever it's something involving the Lord, you want people to feel free enough that if something happens, God forbid, but there's a place, there's help, there's prayer. Somebody just had a question. Kashan says, now what do we do when musicians try to be difficult in the middle of rehearsal? I treat them the same way that I do choir members. I usually talk to them over the side, and I may tell the choir members take 5. While I go here and talk to the band, because something going on over here. And I did that, and even when I had jurisdictional mass choir rehearsal. I don't have that so much in my personal rehearsal, because I do everything a cappella. And I can play an instrument. So I really don't, some things in my local church I don't deal with, because I play an instrument, and sometimes when you know how to do some things, you may not have, you know what I'm saying? I'm not self-sufficient, but I do play. And whatever voice you sing, I can sing it. If you don't want to do the solo, I can sing it. I'm pretty much kind of ambidextrous. So if you don't want to play, fine, I can do it. I know how to set these keyboards up. I get it going. Don't worry about it. So I really don't deal with that. Even when I had I'm the main musician, but when I had other like a lead guitarist, a drummer and stuff, I really didn't deal with that. It's when they know that you know how to do something, you generally don't deal with some things. But when I had the jurisdiction rehearsal, there was a little, confusion between the musicians and the choir and something like that. So I just kind of like went over to the musicians, because they were all men. So I just kind of went over there and just kind of like, dude, what's going on, bruh? That was not the right chord. That was not the right, no, I get you, but that's not it. Don't remember, now remember who the big dog is. Okay, I'm the littlest one, but just remember. Okay, but then, I just approached them. Sometimes you have to disarm people, in that if a person is like I just gave that example. Now, I could have very well walked over to them in the rehearsal. Lisa was there at the rehearsal. I could have just walked over to them and said, what y'all doing? Because I am, the jurisdictional minister of music. So I could have walked up there, you what? That ain't right. Screaming and hollering and jumping. Nah. I just went over there, like, bruh, what's going on? That wasn't what I did. Well, and they was like, you hit that, too. They were thinking I was giving them Nashville Methodist signal. So when I told the choir, too, they thought I was saying, play the second chord. And I'm like, what? So I kind of approached them and they kind of like, so it kind of disarmed them. So, they started laughing because I'm looking at them like, I wasn't doing Nashville. I was talking to them, telling them verse 2. Dude, I was like this. Where you get to it? And so then it's kind of like disarmed everybody because all of them was saying, well, we thought you want the second chord. And I'm like, no. So, sometimes I do all that drama stuff and it just disarmed them. You have to know your crew. And I guess that's what I'm trying to get over to you. And, Christopher, when you're talking about the musician, you just have to know you have to know your crew. And and then it kind of on the flip side, I'm a musician as well. So I know what it feels like when you thinking, what are you doing? Are you telling me that, so I understand that. So I kind of know how to approach them. And I use that. And I always think about how would I want you to approach me? And it's kind of like a psychology thing. And you just have to learn how to disarm people. And there's a way to do it in your approach, in your attitude, in the way you present yourself. There's just a way to do that. Okay, I hope that helped you out. Exactly. Lisa says correction can be done after rehearsal is over. Sometimes fronting can make things worse. Exactly. You just need to know, like I said, you know your crew. I know them. In my case, I know the musicians. They know me. And they know I'm a musician. And they know my spirit. I'm not here to embarrass anybody. Even when you get on my nerves, I'm not there to embarrass you. I'm just here to do a job because I don't like I say, I have my rehearsals. I don't like them more than an hour. When we start hitting up in an hour, something is wrong. Come on. Especially when we've been prepared before. Okay, so I hope that kind of helps you out. Know your crew. Know who you're working with. Make sure your levels of frustration are not up. Make sure you pray by yourself before you get there. Don't let that prayer that you open in prayer be the only prayer you pray before you got to rehearsal. Okay, you need to debrief, you need to get yourself in order before you even go to the group. And that way you will be prepared before you get to them. And if something arises, you will know how to approach people. Being a choir director, you need to be a people person. Not just a person standing in front of you and you do what I say. In order to get people to do what you're asking them to do, you have to present yourself in a certain way in order to deal with them. You can't come in the choir rehearsal and don't speak to people. And then turn around and try to tell them what to do. You know how humans are. You can't do that. You have to be nice and hot. The Bible said be given to hospitality. So you have to treat the rehearsal as though they're coming into your house. And I know this sounds like and I know some people are like, I'm not doing that with all these people. They get on my nerves. I understand that. But again, a soft answer turns away wrath. There's just a way you got to do things. You have to kind of find it. And it's not like you being a doormat or anything like that. God has to develop your leadership style and how you deal with people and how to make it beneficial for everybody else. You have to learn the people that you work with. Everybody's not the same. Everybody cannot be approached the same. So being in lead, a lot of people don't understand. Being in leadership is a very intensive, labor and time intensive job. Dealing with people of all races, correct? It doesn't matter. People are people. And you have to have a certain type of personality, a certain type of way of handling yourself. Knowing how to interact with all different types of people with different issues and problems. And you definitely need the Spirit of God when you're dealing with people to aid you in discernment so that you will be able to see. And sometimes, you won't catch them all. You won't catch them all. I'm not going to sit there and say you catch them all. No, sometimes they get past me too. But then I have to catch myself before I get out the gate and say, ooh, oh, help me, Holy Ghost, where you at? Come on, pull me down. Then he had to grab me and pull me down. So sometimes, it gets past you, but as a rule, I tell people that, have your discernment, trying to see how they're dealing, what are they dealing with, Um, and another thing, when you're dealing with disruptive behavior, the choir just may not be the right fit for them. Have you ever thought about that? You know, some people, I had people that when I took over the choir, my mom taught one way. And then when I took over the choir, I believe in a cappella. I want to hear your voice. I want you to be confident when you singing this note. So, you know, whatever. And for some people, that type of pressure was too hard. You know, I need to, you know, it was too hard for them to deal with singing a cappella and doing the auditions and singing the note by myself. Sometimes with the choir members, some people get in the choir for various reasons and they think they can hang until something happens, and then it's like, this is not for me. So that could be an issue too. Find out. You know, sometimes, eventually, I used to do this, and I did it maybe about 3 months ago. I had, you know, instead of having a rehearsal, I had a meeting and kind of like let everybody say what they want to do. And some people mentioned that the choir is really not their thing. But they're in the choir basically because there ain't nothing else to do, which I'm not too pleased with that. But the choir really isn't their thing. They're really not into singing in the choir. Well, then that kind of, you know, when you say that, then that kind of helps me understand. So when I see these attitudes on your face, I just kind of block you out. You know, I don't want to put you out. I want to give you the opportunity to just step out. You step out on your own, because if I put you out, then there's more ammunition. But if you step out and say, stand down and say, I don't want to do this anymore, then okay, no hard feeling. I don't care. But when you do, when they said that, then now if I see them with that kind of look on their face, I just dismiss it, because I know in a matter of time you're going to get tired and you're going to step away. And that brings to my point. They may not be a fit for the choir. So I would suggest periodically that you just kind of have a meeting. Take your rehearsal and have a meeting. And say, I just want to get a heart-to-heart, see what everybody feels like. And if they're honest, you will find out who really wants to be here and who don't. And then when they say, and that's so I say you got to be calm. Because then when they say, because sometimes people will say, well, I don't want to be in the choir because I don't like blah, 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 blah. Then, you know, when you ask, you have to be in the right spirit that you can receive what they're saying and not retaliate against them. Okay, because the spirit of retaliation can jump on you and you end up saying, you know, you take it out on them. So, you know, when you have, it's good to know, because, you know, eventually they're going to roll off. Okay, you just have to, you know, deal with some things until they roll off. But the best way is when you know about something, it's easier to deal with it. Like, I know that person doesn't really want to be in the choir, so it's easier for me to deal with them. And that's what I'm saying. You may not want to have a meeting or whatever, but you should at least twice a year just go through the choir and just see how everybody's feeling, how everybody's doing, and, you know, whatever. And you'd be surprised how easy it is, because you get to hear what they got to say. They hear from you all the time. They hear what you say. Even some of us get upset and we tell them, y'all, they hear from you all the time. Okay, so sometimes you need to sit down and hear from them, hear what they think. Now, everybody's not going to tell you what they thinking, but you're going to have some that will tell you, and it'll be easy for you to deal with the group. It really will. And then you'll know who you can really depend on and who you can't. You know, when I know that this is not your thing, then I know I really can't depend on you. You know, you can sing or do whatever you're doing, but I know that I can't depend on you, or I can't trust you to be something other than what you are, because I know that your heart and soul is not in it. And honestly, no one should be in the choir if your heart and soul is not in it. You really shouldn't, because then you're being a weight to the entire group. But that's just something that you can think of, that you can talk to your group about. And then sometimes I hate to say this, but sometimes your disruptive behavior in the choir, among the choir members, is because of your team leaders, your section leaders, your staff directors, people that you have doing things, your dues collector. All of them are an extension of you. And sometimes they can be in front of you and it's like all smiling, like, hey, I got your back. But then they're doing, they're not treating the members as friendly or as nice as they should be. Sometimes they lash out because of that. So you have to, you take all things in consideration. There are a lot of things that happen to cause disruptions in the rehearsal. I know it sounds like a lot, and I'm only touching on 4 points. I don't have time to go through all of them. I may have to do another show after convocation when I come back and talk about it a little more. But everything that you do is an extension of you. Every interaction, every word that comes out of your mouth has an effect on the group that you're talking to. So going back to number 1, pray and remain calm in your dealings with everybody. And it may seem bumpy in the beginning, but after a while, when you keep a smooth, calm spirit, it'll get over on them. It'll start affecting them. And after a while, you'll see the choir start. The majority of them will start coming in with a cool, calm spirit. Because whatever spirit you have gets on the group. If you cantankerous and fussing and whatever else, when you come in, the whole group, the non-confrontational people just stop coming. They just gonna stop coming. But then you get those that do come, they're gonna start doing that too. And then you just got a whole big mess. Christopher, you got a question. You said, how do you handle the choir politics of pastors, superintendent, family members who try to go over your head to have your way? How do you handle the choir politics of pastors? Well, honestly, that's a little more difficult because it depends on how your support system. Okay, in that case, I would definitely go to the leaders. You have to. That's your beginning point because they're the ones that appointed you to the role. So that's who you would have to go back to. You go back to the leaders and explain to them. Find out, there's a way to talk. Pray before you go, but go back to the leaders and talk to them because it doesn't matter who's. Now, I will say this. When you have people who are of leadership families in the choir, yeah, there is a certain amount of, there's a respect that you have with them. I mean, basically, if my father happens to be pastor of the church that I attend. If I wasn't, let's just say this. There are some departments in the church that I am not the leader, but I also participate in them. Okay. So by me being on the team, I don't take, it is a different scenario, but I'm going to get to where your point, but I have to start on the good and then migrate over there. On their team, I don't take over or anything like that. I don't walk in there like, well, I'm, blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. I don't do that. That's, when they come in and they're in charge and the pastor put them over this or whatever, it doesn't even matter if it's my younger sister. Everybody knows that, she understands a lot and she does a lot. But when I come in there, I don't take over, but there's a certain amount of respect that they have for me as being the oldest of the pastor's children. There's a certain amount of respect that they have for me. So when I go in, I respect. I don't try to usurp or do anything like that. You understand what I'm saying? And so that works out in that scenario. But if we take it over to what you're saying, I would definitely go to the leader and just explain to them. Okay, because and I can kind of understand. It depends on if they were in the position before you. Because sometimes if somebody can be in a position before you and they still hanging around, the people will automatically go to them anyway. You understand what I'm saying? It's for some people, it's kind of hard to relinquish something. And I think that's probably what it is. It's hard to relinquish something, and you're dealing with a lot of different things. You're dealing with hurt. People don't understand. And that being in the lead family, there are certain pressures. There are certain things that you deal with. There are certain things you suppress in during your job. I'm not excusing anything. But by me being on that side of the fence as well, my father being a leader and all of that, even assistant superintendent and all of that stuff, I understand that, but I'm saying I'm not excusing anything, but I'm just trying to give you some insight. There are some certain things that you deal with on a constant basis. There are certain things you hurts and things that you deal with. And your life is not normal like everybody else. There's a lot of things you have to deal with. And I can't go into a whole lot of detail, but I can tell you that it's almost like President Obama's girls. There's a lot of things that they deal with that the rest of us don't really deal with. Okay, and some people, when they have, I can relinquish something and keep going, but everybody has not reached that level where they can just relinquish and say, okay, I'm not in charge, you in charge, go ahead and do this. Everybody is not at that point, okay, because I'm not into bashing anything, but I do understand when you're trying to do a job efficiently and you got people running over, under, around. I do understand that, but I just want to put that in there. So the best way to handle that, and I'm not excusing that behavior, but the best way to handle that is go back to the person who appointed you and ask, how do you want me to handle this? These are the issues. No matter who your leader is, you should be able to go to them and talk and be respectful, but be honest in the situation. You understand what I'm saying, Christopher? Be honest in the situation and say, this is what it is. I'm having issues in this area. Do you have, can you help me out? You have to go back to them, because that can be a potential volcanic explosion, if you understand what I'm saying. But go back to them and explain to them what the situation is. They appointed you. Go back to them and talk to them and let them know. I'm having a few issues. I don't know exactly how to handle this, but can you give me some insight? And maybe it's just as simple as them having a conversation saying, this is the person that I put over this, work with them and help. Okay. But sometimes in our positions, we can get so used to being in charge and in lead that it's kind of hard to relinquish that. Okay, so take that into consideration too. A person that has labored a long time in something or been involved in a lot of things, and now you pulling that away. Everyone hasn't healed to the point where they can accept that it's time for me to move on to another area. They want to hold on to that power and that authority. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a complex thing, which I understand. But at the same time, I also understand the other side. So that would be your best recourse at this point. And I would say definitely pray before you have that conversation. And they should be able to discern from that conversation and be able to maybe add some guidance onto the other side and say, maybe you need to stand down a little bit, give them some room and let them handle the situation. Whatever that job or that role is, give them some room, a little space, and if they need help, I've instructed them to ask, and the reason I know, because that happened to me. That happened to me. I had, just like holding on to stuff, and they had to, no, let them handle it, and if they ask for assistance, you give it. If not, you just support what they're doing and keep going. So that I didn't mean to give you that whole insight, but I want to give you both sides. We always come down the middle with everything, because there's always two sides to everything. And sometimes things are not explained properly, or the dividing line is not there. And sometimes, and I do understand that some of us, especially as PKs, we can just get all into that and don't want to let go. We don't want to do that, and we have to be told nicely, back up, give them room, And, once you get used to that, knowing that, it's time to move on to other greater things, then it's okay. So I hope that answered your question. But those was just 4 things that I saw. Make sure that as a leader that you remain calm at all times. Never get with the disruptive person for any reason. And if they are, try to figure out what's going on with them. It could be something personal, could be something we don't know what people are dealing with in today's market. We deal with, it's the same market that it was when I was growing up, but it just wasn't pronounced. We were taught more, to hold and, not to react to so many different things, but we're living in a different time, in a different world, and people react and do things differently and, whatever. And we as leaders need to understand how to do it. We don't get with them. That's not going to help any situation. Always stand back, step, I always tell people, and even in myself, I always remember, step out of the situation. Literally, take your mind and yourself and step out of the situation and look at it, and then you'll get a better view. Subjective, you too close. Objective, you step outside of the situation. You're able to make a better decision when you see something objectively, as opposed to subjectively. When you're subjective, you got your emotions and everything in there. You can't make a right decision. But when you're objective, it means you distance yourself from your emotions and you're able to make a decent decision based on what you see. Okay? So that's all I got, everybody. I hope that I helped. Well, I hope that I helped you on tonight and gave you something, just something that I learned. It's a whole laundry list of stuff, but we don't have time to go through that, and I want to keep these kind of short because I know everybody's busy, and I'm getting ready for convocation. I'm so excited to be going, and I get to see all my friends and talk to them and see them, get pictures and everything. Hopefully I get to sing with Christopher. But I just want to give you something there just to hold on to. Next week I might talk about a couple of more things, or if somebody else shoots me an email and say discuss this topic, I probably will do that. And then we'll wrap up October, and then we go into November. November we will have a little less shows. I'm trying to get talking to some people to get them to do a takeover show for me, and hopefully that works out. And then you only hear from me once next month, and then a couple of the weeks from convocation and Thanksgiving, I don't do shows on those weeks. So I think we got like 2 shows next month. So I'm gonna try to keep up with you and bring you something. And if not, I definitely will be posting things on a weekly basis, things that I've seen or that I think could be beneficial to you. Thank you all so very much for joining me. I really appreciate you. I love all of you. I thank you for your support, especially my Facebook folks. You all have really, YouTube is catching up, but I really appreciate my Facebook crowd. I don't think I'm ever going to leave my Facebook crowd. You all are my first. But I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a lovely evening, weekend. Have a great Sunday. And if you're in Chicago and you don't have anywhere to go, stop by Redeemed Tabernacle, 1340 South Pulaski Road. We're the Blue Brick Church on the west side. Only Blue Brick Church on the west side. Everybody know. They don't know the name of the church, but they call us the Blue Brick. All right? So thank you all so very much. Love all of y'all. Have a wonderful night. Listen, thank you all. I didn't even do my shout outs. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Pam, Lisa, Shanita, Melissa, Donisha, Beatrice, Isaiah, Lisa Ivy, Daryl Hamilton. Oh, I didn't know he was on here. Linda Mobley, Latanya Thomas, Hatcher Roy, Craig, Milam, Kashan was on here. My friend Christopher, Thelmanita was on here. Donna was on here. Oh my God. Andrew Rose, my uncle, Marilyn. My mom was on here, y'all. There's so many different people. Oh, Jackie Campbell, Carrie Jones, Stephen Fluker Hill. All right. Lady Leia was on. Oh my goodness, there was so many people on here that I passed right on by them. My Uncle Jack was on. Thank you all, everybody. Monty Barnes, thank you so very much for joining us on tonight. Oh my goodness, there's so many. Tristan, thank you so much. Everybody, I appreciate you. I just was looking down at my iPad trying to get everybody's name, but I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody. Thank you so very much for joining me. It's been my pleasure, and have a wonderful day and evening, and peace.